Welcome, have a nice day. Today is Thursday, 10th of October 2024. This day is famous for the celebration of World Mental Day. World Mental Day is an important health awareness event witnessed every year on 10th of October to create awareness and promote the importance of mental health in one's life and society. This day aims to educate people about the stigma of mental illness and encouraging people around the world to support the cause and establish a healthy environment in all aspects of life to support mental health. A call to highlight the vital connection between the mental health and the work-safe, healthy working environments can act as a protective factor for our mental health. So the theme of the mental health on this year 2024, the World Mental Health Day, is mental health at work. On October 10, this day is famous for National Post Day. The British brought postal service to India. Lord Dalhousie established it in 1854 from the history point of view. So, starting the newspaper analysis with the newspaper, The Hindu states that Ratan Tata, a titan of Indian industry, takes his final bow at 86. Tata Group Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata. Prime Minister Modi calls him a visionary business leader, compassionate soul, and an extraordinary human being. Condolences poured in. Tata Group's Chairman Emeritus and a veteran industrialist Ratan Tata passed away at the Bridge Candy Hospital in Mumbai late on Wednesday evening. He was 86. It is with deep sorrow that we announce the peaceful passing of our beloved Ratan, his family said in a statement. United States calls for out Israel at the United Nations for catastrophic conditions in Gaza. United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas. These catastrophic conditions were predicted months ago, yet they have still not been addressed. That must change, and now, says United Nations Linda Thomas Greenfield. Israel needs to address urgently catastrophic conditions among Palestinians civilians in the besieged Gaza Strip and stop intensifying suffering by limiting aid deliveries. It is ally, the United States, told the United Nations Security Council on Wednesday, October 9, 2024. Referring to the reports of escalated conditions in South and Central Gaza, United States Ambassador to the United Nations Linda Thomas Greenfield said these catastrophic conditions were predicted months ago, and yet they have still not been addressed. That must change, and now. We call on Israel to take urgent steps to do so, she said in a blunt statement. The 15-member Security Council met over the humanitarian crisis a year after a deadly attack by Palestinian militants Hamas on the southern Israel sparked the war in Gaza. Israel has since laid waste to much of enclave, and almost the entire population of 2.3 million has been displaced. Israel says Hamas militants killed some 1,200 people on October 7, 2023, while the health authorities in Gaza say nearly 42,000 people have been killed so far during Israeli retaliation. Thomas Greenfield also addressed a recent Israeli order for civilians in the Gaza's north to evacuate again, saying they must be able to return to communities to rebuild. Trump President Modi says he is the nicest human being, but he can also be total killer. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi hugs United States President Donald Trump as they gave joint statement in the Rose Garden of the White House in the Washington, U.S. on June 26, 2017. In an episode of the Flagrant podcast, the former United States President does an impression of the Prime Minister, former U.S. President, and the Republican presidential candidate. Donald Trump praised the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and described Mr. Modi's change in demeanor in response to perceived threats. His comments were made on an episode of their Flagrant podcast hosted by Andrew Schulz and Akash Singh. Before getting into the segment on Mr. Modi, the former president asked the host, Mr. Singh, if he liked Mr. Modi. Mr. Singh sidestepped this question, saying he had a family on both sides. Those who loved everything about Mr. Modi and those who did not. Before him, they were replacing M every year. Mr. Trump said incorrectly former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, Mr. Modi's predecessor, was the post from 2004 to 14. He's a great friend of mine, Mr. Trump said about Mr. Modi. Going to the science and tech, going towards the Hindustan Times newspaper states that Supreme Court now must curb misuse of abatement of suicide law. The view of Supreme Court of India in New Delhi on Thursday. Supreme Court has clarified the necessary conditions for establishing the offence of abatement of suicide, ruling that a person can only be charged if they are provided a direct and alarming encouragement that left the deceased with no option but to commit suicide. A bench of Justice J.B. Pardiwala and Manoj Mishra underlined the need for direct incitement or overwhelming the harassment leading to a person's psychological distress, as it implored courts to differentiate between the emotional conflicts and clear-cut cases of abatement. Nobel Prize in Chemistry. They used artificial intelligence to decipher old proteins, make new virus. This year, Nobel Prize for Chemistry announced on Wednesday honors three American scientists who used artificial intelligence to make all this possible. Their breakthroughs are very recent. Two of the winners are below 50. David Baker, University of Washington USA, Demis Habbis, Google DeepMind, United Kingdom, John M. Jumper, Google DeepMind, United Kingdom. These two are for protein structure prediction, and David Baker for the database protein design for the computational protein design. The chemistry of life is defined by proteins, which can create muscles, hormones, antibodies, or enzymes, each with their own functions. These functions are determined not only by the chemistry of the proteins, but also by the structure. Every protein folds magically into its own three-dimensional structure. Predicting the structure of various proteins can have immense implications, particularly in medicine. So can engineering new proteins of desired structure so that they can perform specific functions. Indeed, some class of vaccines, for example, bank on the performance of engineered proteins. This year's Nobel Prize for Chemistry announced on Wednesday honors three American scientists who used artificial intelligence to make all this possible. Their breakthroughs are very recent. Two of the winners are below 50. In fact, one is not even 40. Demis Habbis, 48, a programmer and a games developer who co-founded DeepMind, the company whose artificial intelligence plays board games and which was later acquired by Google, created an artificial intelligence module called AlphaFold, which could predict the shape of the protein if fed with a given set of amino acids. John Jumper, 39, a researcher with the Google DeepMind, collaborated with the Habbis to update the artificial intelligence model to a newer version, AlphaFold 2, which could predict the structure of protein with a greater accuracy. The two of them share one half of the Nobel. David Baker, 62, a biochemist at Washington University, has been awarded the other half. He approached a protein falling from the other direction. He entered the desired shape of the protein, and artificial intelligence responded with the amino acids chain that would be necessary to engineer such a protein from starch. The importance of their work is best appreciated if one starts from how challenging it was. Going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, European Union's carbon tax is arbitrarily a barrier to trade, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. According to industries estimates, the European Union carbon tariffs could raise the costs of Indian exports by 20 to 35%, as more than the quarter of the India's export of iron, steel, and aluminium in 2022 were headed for the European Union. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Oil falls as a strong supply counters Middle East and hurricane risk. China and said on Tuesday it was fully confident of achieving its full area growth target, but refrained from introducing stronger fiscal steps, disappointing investors who had banked on more support for the economy. While exchange lost on Wednesday's weak demand on rising United States inventories counter the risk of supply disruption from the conflict in the Middle East and the Hurricane Milton in the United States. Investors have been concerned about the slow growth dampening fuel demand in China, the world's largest crude importer. Stock markets closed lower on the fag and selling as Reserve Bank of India changed stance to neutral. Benchmark equity indices Sensex and Nifty appeared all gains to settle lower on Wednesday due to the late selling in index major Reliance Industries (RTC) and HDFC Bank, even as the Reserve Bank of India took the first step towards the rate cut in the monetary policy review. Raising its early gains, the 30-share building stock exchange Sensex fell 167.7 points. Among the 30 Sensex companies, ITC, Nestle India, Hindustan Unilever, Reliance Industries, Larsen and Toubro, and HDFC were among the major laggards. Going towards the world news, including Biden and Netanyahu discusses Israeli retaliation plans against Iran aimed at escalation tensions. Catastrophic Hurricane Milton closes on Florida. What we know so far, North Korea to seal border with the South Korea strengthens military defense. Biden to speak with the Netanyahu amid rising tensions with the Iran. Upcare man planning to attack United States on election day in November, arrested by FBI. 4 Mexican mayors request a protein after the colleagues beheading. Going to science and tech, we have new sedimentary rock made from a slag is a carbon trapping champ. A piece of slag from the glazing process formed sometime between 1802 and 1450 BC in the Lower Egypt. When lithified slag breaks down, it stores greenhouse gas like carbon dioxide through a process called mineral carbonation. Human activity has significantly altered the Earth's landscape so much so that, as many scientists have said, the planet began a new geological chapter called the Anthropocene era. Many of these changes have been wrought by deposits of material like industrial waste and constructional debris. These materials weather over their time and mix with the natural sediment and affect the environment by changing the acidity of soil and water, composition of soil and distribution of minerals. NASA to launch the mission on October 10 to look for habitable spots on Europa moon. That's today. A view of Jupiter's moon, Europa, created from the images taken by the NASA's Galileo spacecraft in the late 1990s, according to the NASA, obtained by the Reuters May 14, 2018. Europa Clipper will conduct a detailed study of the Europa, looking for potential places where it might host alien life. On October 10, NASA is launching a hotly anticipated new mission to Jupiter's fourth largest moon, Europa. Called Europa Clipper, the spacecraft will conduct a detailed study on the moon, looking for the potential place where Europa might host alien life. It is the largest planetary exploration spacecraft NASA has ever made, as wide as a basketball court. When its solar sails are unfolded, it has a mass of about 6,000 kilograms, the weight of the large African elephant. At last, there's a famous quotation said by famous scientist Albert Einstein, whose birth anniversary is 14 March 1879. After 18 April 1955, was a German-born theoretical physicist who is widely hailed as one of the most influential scientists. Best known for the development of theory of the relativity, Einstein also made important contributions to quantum mechanics. His mass energy equivalence formula is called mc², which arises from the special relativity, has been called the world's most famous equation. Received the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics for his services to theoretical physics and especially for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect, a pivotal step in the development of quantum theory. In the middle part of his career, Einstein made an important contribution to statistical mechanics and quantum theory. Especially notable was his work on the quantum physics of radiation, in which light consists of particles subsequently called photons. With the Indian physicist Satyendranath Bose, he led the groundwork for the Bose-Einstein statistics. For much of the last phase of his academic life, Einstein worked on the two endeavors that proved ultimately unsuccessful. First, he advocated against quantum theory's introduction of fundamental randomness into the science picture of the world, objecting that God does not play a dice. Second, he attempted to devise a unified field theory by generalizing his geometric theory of gravitation to include electromagnetism too. As a result, he became increasingly isolated from the mainstream modern physics. His intellectual achievements and originality made Einstein broadly synonymous with a genius. In 1999, he was named Time's Person of the Century. In a 1999 poll of the 130 leading physicists worldwide by the British Journal of Physics World, Einstein was ranked the greatest physicist of all time. Einstein is a famous quotation. He says that weak people revenge, strong people forgive, intelligent people ignore. Okay, thank you.